Getting started on YouTube is hard because of this. Because when you first start, hey, check out my new video. There's nobody around. And even once you start posting more often, you'll get some views and there's going to be people around, but they're still not that interested. Hey, check out this video I just posted. Hey, why won't you look at my video? She doesn't like it. This aspect of YouTube can make it much harder to get started out on than other platforms. We're all conditioned to be able to start social media accounts, click add friends. You're immediately synced up with contacts, friends, family, all of these people that you know, so you get some sort of immediate validation. Hey friends, I just posted something on my page. Nice. 1 like, hot start.
You're doing a great job.
Nice, 1 comment. We've got another one. Why does he even follow me? Regardless of the type of feedback that you get, at least you're getting something. When you create a YouTube channel, you're gonna find that very few people you know even have one, and the ones that do probably barely ever use it. So when you first start posting, nobody's really gonna see it. But there are 3 main reasons why I found that that is actually a good thing. To illustrate the first reason, I placed myself in social media peer jail. Couldn't think of a better name. So just pretend this shed is social media peer jail, and I'm stuck in here. You gotta at least close the door so it looks like I'm actually in here. No, it's too dark. So I see this all the time on social media, and it sort of breaks my heart, and you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Someone that you know who normally posts the same thing, or maybe doesn't post at all, suddenly posts a picture of them doing something, singing, dancing, talking about business, whatever it may be. But they're clearly trying to showcase this new talent or skill or knowledge. But because it can be so out of left field, and all the people that are seeing it are people that have always known them one way, or as one type of person, the reception can be mixed. There's usually some support from friends and family, which is always appreciated, but we know it's biased. So the next tier of people that they're seeking validation or feedback from is all of their other peers. But you can usually tell when they didn't quite get the feedback and support that they were looking for. And sadly, they usually end up just not sharing it anymore altogether. But I found on YouTube that most of that feeling is gone, which is why number 1 is freedom. So if you've ever found yourself feeling embarrassed, shy, anxious about sharing any skill or talents, your creativity, etc., all on social media, that pressure is kind of gone here, or at least a lot less. Knowing that you can be your authentic self instead of trying to keep up with some perceived expectation of who you are from your peers, this gives you sort of a fresh start to share things on this platform that you probably wouldn't have shared on other social media platforms. Because most of the people we just mentioned, friends, family, colleagues, people that you met while drunk in a bathroom at a party, they're probably not even gonna see it. The second reason a slow start on YouTube is a good thing is content longevity. I touched on this topic in my other video because it's one of my favorite parts about YouTube. So on this beautiful drawing, you can see that what you probably notice with short form content, once you post, you have a spike. Over the first probably 4 to 5 hours, you're gonna get the most, but more or less 24 hours is your real peak of that post. And then over the next 48 hours, and then once you get to the 48-hour mark, you're gonna start to see a cliff. It's gonna start to drop off. Maybe it extends to 72 hours, but for the most part, you should see it trending downward. Eventually, as enough time passes, nobody's going to see these posts anymore. Very rarely would somebody scroll all the way back and see an old post from a year or 2 ago, let alone engage with it. But on the flip side, when you look at YouTube, when you first post, there's typically some slow growth. You're going to get maybe a little bit of views, 10, 20, 40, what have you, but there's not going to be that big spike. The beauty of it is because it's a searchable platform, you're going to see the slow growth over time. So these things will continue to live on as opposed to steep cliffs, drop-offs, just crashing of posts that you poured your heart and soul into, and nobody's gonna see them again. Walk with me. I need to raise my desk up. I didn't get one of those cool desks that are powered. I got the old hand crank. I like to work for mine. So because YouTube is a search-based platform, the chances of your content that you create being found over time is much higher because they could find a 5-year-old video or a 10-year-old video. It doesn't matter. As long as it falls under the categories of the things you're searching and people stumble on it, you'll still get views, you'll still get engagement. Example 1 here. I posted this video that I felt really, really good about. So if you take a look here, in the first 24 hours, it got 84 views, which Wasn't terrible. It's actually in the range. As you can see, my typical range is 50 to 90 within the first 24 hours. I was a little disappointed because I had put a lot into this video, and I think maybe I was just expecting a quicker start. But again, just to illustrate the point that it doesn't really matter if it has a hot start or not, that if it's a searchable video, that you can find some growth or spikes over time. If we look at the next 24 hours, for example, 2 days it went from 84 to 600. So this obviously, based on my range of 70 to 170, is a significant jump. So I was still really happy, but then it started to go kind of crazy. 3 days later, it went from 600 to 5,360, and then just started to kind of go crazy from there. To now become my first and only so far viral video of almost 150,000 views. This is obviously an extreme example, but I just wanted to show you that the first couple days doesn't necessarily to make or break video. The lion's share of the views for this came way after that. So you're still getting that consistent growth over an extended period, which I love. It doesn't all ride or die on the first 48 hours. Example 2, this was a video from almost a full year ago. And when I first posted it, kind of the same thing. Felt really good about the video. This was the first time I think I got sort of more creative with the editing. The first 24 hours, 38 views. Booming. And you can just jump up quickly on this. Let's go to the first 7 days, 117 views. The whole point of this is to illustrate, if you look at the next 90 days, it got up to 1,500 views. So I was really happy about that. I'm still grateful for any views I get. So I get excited whether it's 100 or 10,000, doesn't really matter to me. The point is, this video took a full 90 days to get up to 1,500 views. In another 90 days, it only grew another 1,000 views or so, but was still growing the whole time. Around 200 days in, it just ramped up. And the growth from there has been at a much higher rate over a consistent period. This is still not going viral. This is still not, giving me hundreds of thousands of views over several months, but it's consistent growth month over month to the point where it's at now, which is just over 20,000 views. It took a full year to get there, but the fact that it can continue to get growth a year after you posted it is probably the most exciting part about posting on YouTube. Let me move this back down so I can get situated. So the benefit of slow growth and people not really seeing your content in the beginning, it frees you of the anxiety of something flopping after you post it. Let's be honest, the post that you put a lot of time and energy and heart and thought into flopping is super discouraging. So the benefit to that longevity here on YouTube is that you don't have to have that pressure of it to perform immediately, and that it will find its audience over time. This doesn't always work, by the way. I've had videos on here not perform well, like this video. This video is one of my favorite videos that I've ever done. This painting got into a museum. I was very excited about the video. And for whatever reason, it has just not found its audience. And to this day, it grows like a view or two per day. It's up to only like 200 views in a year. So it's not foolproof. It doesn't mean that everything will find its audience, but you have a much higher chance of it doing that here over time. So again, you may have a slower start here, but you're more likely to be yourself. And that is exactly who or what you want to share so that you can build a genuine audience around you. Not you from high school, not you from work, not you from college, just the real you. And the third and final reason that it's a good thing that you don't really have any people around when you first started YouTube is experimentation. And this one is sort of a combination of the first and the second. Now, because you don't really have people around in the beginning, and because it takes longer to grow, it gives you more time to try things and to experiment with content topics, titles, content styles, editing styles, big swings creatively, music choices, color grading. And as you have time to try all these things, some will stick and some won't. And this is gonna help shape your style, your voice, and just generally what your channel is gonna be about. If I wasn't doing this example, I would have made all of those. You probably noticed that on social media, you're scared to take big swings creatively or step out of your comfort zone and share things you don't normally share because you're gonna get immediate feedback. The downside to that is if the feedback is not good, you might end up with some people sort of just checking out and just losing interest in general. For example, when I would share filmmaking stuff, when I pretty much only had an art audience, it usually wasn't received very well. The engagement would be bad, or you'd lose followers or anything like that. And so there's just this pressure to post the same type of stuff all the time, over and over and over again, to have any growth. Most people don't come to YouTube and watch things chronologically. You just go to a channel, you happen to see a video, if you check out their other stuff, you just watch it. You watch it based on the title, you watch it based on the thumbnail, or the content that it's gonna be about in general. So if you make a change on here, style-wise, editing-wise, anything, no one's gonna catch on to it for the most part, unless you have a really big audience. They're just gonna watch it for what it is. The proof for what's working or what not will be in your analytics. analytics, and you can kind of see, okay, this change seemed to have been received better, or maybe I got more viewership here based on this, this, and this. So you get to make calculated decisions after trying a bunch of different things, as opposed to feeling like you have to keep doing the same thing. So to summarize, it can be a sort of odd feeling starting a YouTube channel, I'm not gonna lie, because in the beginning it's pretty isolating. There's nobody around. But I think that lack of pressure and judgment from people you know, it allows you to really be yourself, and it allows you to experiment and try things creatively that help you really shape your voice for who you actually want to be and not who you are perceived to be. My genuine advice for what to do when you start a YouTube channel is to think of it as creating a content library of stuff that you are interested in, and think of it as if somebody landed on your page, what would you want them to learn about you by spending time going through the videos that you create? How can you provide value? So if somebody landed there, so again, if in my case, if mine are about art and filmmaking, what videos can I create in the beginning to really sort of showcase my knowledge, my skill set, whatever it may be, so that eventually when you do start getting the viewership, then all those fresh eyeballs are going to come there and they're going to see a really well-shaped library of content based on whatever it is that your channel is about. And again, that is sort of the beauty to nobody being around in the beginning. You don't have the judgment, your brother or your cousins or your friends or your colleagues or your just any of your peers. You don't have to worry about the judgment. And so that allows you to really sort of find your voice and your footing here for what type of channel and what type of creator you want to be. And by the way, I don't mean to shit all over short form content. I do not hate Instagram or TikTok. I use both of them. I think they are incredibly important. I think they should be leveraged to boost your channel and to send people to your channel. I've mentioned this before, but I like process and I like a slow burn. I like learning things. I like spending time, 10, 20 minutes watching a video. I hate always having to condense everything down to a 10, 15, 30-second video on short form. So long form content just suits me better, and I like spending more time on YouTube as a platform. I just think it's more positive. I think it's more knowledge filled, and I think short form can be kind of toxic after you spend too much time there. So I've just made the commitment over the last 6 to 8 months to be a YouTube first creator, and I'll find ways to incorporate short form stuff over time. But right now I'm just primarily focused on this. So if you're thinking of starting a channel, or maybe you have already started a channel and have had some of those feelings of being discouraged or a little bit lonely or isolated, just take it from me that the growth here may be slower, but I promise you it feels more meaningful once it starts happening and once you start kind of building an audience and having people find your channel. Anyway, keep creating, keep learning. I'm proud of all of you that are deciding to do this and to pursue this regardless of any discouragement or concerns or any of those feelings that you might be having. And just hit me in the comments if you have any questions, complaints, need advice, etc., anything like that. And good night.